Yesterday, we got a group formed in Peru. So pretty soon we're going to have an international group meeting. But for now, it's national. We have all sort of regions of the U.S. represented. That's every 2 weeks we do a core team call. And then between there, we do webinars. So we open up webinars for anyone in the public to come in and just ask questions, have discussions, raise concerns. We have some new folks today joining us out of Florida. So hi there, Val and Levitt. Nice to see you guys in person. Great conversation we had the other day. Let's see, who else? Jess out of Rutgers. Her and her team out of Rutgers are going to introduce themselves in a little bit, just formed. But we're going to do introductions here shortly. We're just waiting for a couple other folks to arrive to be speaking today.
Looks like we have a few other folks in terms of the actual what do you call our team, and then we also have some folks that are from the city official positions or state positions. Do we want to wait for them before we begin?
Larry, I don't know who that person is trying to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so waiting for Ishi to join us from Klamath, and then a couple others.
Greetings, everybody. Hey, Carlos, how's it going?
Hey, Muda, how you doing?
I see Way. I see Oye. Who else? I think I hear. Who else is online? But peace to everybody.
What up, King Man? What up, Larry? What up, Carlos? Seasway? Mama Ayana?
Hey, greetings.
Oh, Larry, Carlos. I saw Ayana. Peace, Mom.
Yep.
Hey. Orlando in the building.
So Larry is going to be our tech guy today. He's monitoring people to let him in. He's also going to be keeping us on time on the agenda, and a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes. So if anything technical goes wrong, it's all Larry's fault. Something goes wrong with our human.
Oh, blame it on Zoom.
Right on. Okay, well, we're going to start with the introductions then. We got a good crew here. So I'll go last. Larry, you want to just go first? We're just going to say name, affiliation, and where you're at. So, for example, Carlos, Decriminalize Nature. I'm in Oakland. So, Larry, you want to go, and then I'll end. And
just to let everyone know, we are recording this. So, if you aren't interested in recording, make sure to take your camera off or whatever. My name is Larry Norris. I'm part of MPGenic Research Integration Education in the Berkeley, Oakland area, and also part of co-founder of Decriminalize Nature. Hello, everybody.
Mama Ayana.
Yes, my name is Mama Ayana Iyi, and I am here in Detroit, Michigan, representing the Detroit Psychedelic Society, and I'm looking forward to this discussion this evening. Greetings, everybody.
Greetings. Beautiful to see you.
Yes, as well.
Dimitri.
Greetings. I am Dimitri Vallejos. I am part of Decriminalize Nature Salt Lake City. And that's about it. So,
right on. Nice to see you. Susana, el madre. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
I'm Susanna Valadez. Hi, everyone. Greetings. I'm coming to you from Mexico. I'm the founder and director of the Huichol Center for Cultural Survival and Traditional Arts and part of Decriminalize Nature Oakland.
And on our elders council, Mama Ayana, Susana, and Kat Kerner, y'all will meet later, are the founding members of our Elders Council, and they will be bringing on additional elders. So anybody who thinks you want to recommend an elder to our Elders Council, they're going to guide us through the tough spots. Please send them to Mama Ayana, Susana, or Kat Kerner. If you need their contact information, reach out to myself or Larry. C-Sway, brother, how are you doing? You want to introduce yourself?
Hey man, I'm blessed. Greetings to everyone. My name is Brother Sisway, co-creator of Spirit Works with my wife Mizan, a supporter and brotherhood, sisterhood of Decrim Nature. Definitely helped with the Ochi initiative, and just excited to be here. Peace to the family.
Peace, brother. And the winner for coldest region, Gina Randall. How you doing up there, way up north, Gina?
I'm cold in New York, and it's what 3 p.m. and the sun is setting. So yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Gina. I'm up here in Alaska with Decriminalize Nature Alaska. I'm based out of Anchorage.
Thank you. Oye, how you doing, brother?
All is well, brother. I'm blessed by the best and too sexy to be stressed. My name is Oye's son, I do. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Team Taurus. I'm your favorite astrologer's favorite astrologer and represent the KI network internationally.
Right on. Thank you. Ikutsi, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you, everybody. I'm Ikutsi. I'm the chair of Decriminalize Nature Oakland, and I'm also a board member of the Huichol Center for Cultural Survival in Mexico, and in the United States, it's international. So hi, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you. Angela Hill, how are you?
Good. Thank you all for inviting me. I'm Angela Hill. I live in Sacramento and I work for Senator Scott Wiener from San Francisco. Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you, and we're grateful you're here. Thank you for making time for us on short notice. Daniel out of Missoula.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Daniel. I'm here with Decrim Nature Missoula, and hopefully we're growing this to Montana statewide soon. So that's it. Thanks.
Let's do it. Isaiah, how are you doing, brother? How are things?
Fantastic. I'm doing well. Nice to see all y'all, meet all of you. Isaiah Nariga, based in Baltimore, Maryland, originally from Houston, Texas, and a co-founder of Silo Health.
Right on. Thank you for joining us. It's nice to see you again. And out of Florida, we got Levitt and Val. Introduce yourselves.
Valerie here.
Hi everyone, I'm Levitt. We are the founders of the Psychedelic Club here in Orlando, and that's led us to Decriminalize Nature. We are involved in the cannabis industry here in the state of Florida. We're both medical cannabis patients, and that seeing the that industry has led us to wanting to be part of this mission here in Orlando and lead the charge here. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very grateful to be part of all of this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Nice to meet you guys.
We're happy to have you, and glad you could be with us. Anthony Molina.
Hi, good afternoon, Carlos and team. Thank you for having me today. I'm Anthony Molina from Sacramento, California. I work at a private contract lobbying firm, California Advocates. And I was invited by Carlos to listen in on the policy discussion and see what Decriminalize Nature has planned for the immediate future.
Right on. Nice to see you. Julie, how are you up there in Ann Arbor?
Hi, I'm doing well. It's really lovely to be with you all this evening. I'm Julie Barron. I am from Ann Arbor, Michigan, Decriminalize Nature Ann Arbor, and starting to work on Decriminalize Nature Michigan.
Nice. All right. Will, how are things in Richmond, Virginia?
Things are a little cold here, but I founded Decriminalize Nature Richmond in Virginia. Things have been great. In the last couple of weeks, I've had 3 different people kind of come out of the blue and ask me how they can help out, how they can get involved. So we're definitely feeling the momentum over here on the East Coast.
Right on. Nice to see you. Mudu, you lost your image, but we know you're there.
Greetings, everybody. How you doing? Peace to the family. Coming here from Detroit, representing the KI Network and Tamarian Institute. Peace. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you. Our favorite troublemakers out of Portland. How you doing?
What a wonderful title. Um, I'm Holly, troublemaking here in Portland, Decriminalize Nature Portland. Yeah.
Hey, and I'm Brian, Decriminalize Nature Portland and carrying forward the spirit of the communist revolution.
Nice to see you both. Shane.
Hey everybody, good to see you guys coming out of Southern California. Founder and spiritual leader here at Church of the People, Port Creator Mother Earth, and also a board member of Decriminalize Nature Oakland. Good to be here with everybody.
What up, Shane?
From Temecula
Hey,
region.
how you doing? See you, brother.
Michael Colbruno, how are you?
Hey, I'm well. Thank you. Nice to see everybody. Michael Colbruno, I'm with the Milo Group of California. We do local and state lobbying, and we're going to be part of the coalition to make this happen in California.
Right on. Good to see you. Allison out of New York.
Hi, I'm Allison. I'm with Decrim Nature NYC, and I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Right on. And Yvonne.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yvonne Martin. I am in Harlem from New Orleans originally, and with Decrim Nature NYC.
Right on. Nice to see you, Yvonne. Jess.
Hi, my name is Jess. I'm with the Rutgers Psychedelic Society and Decrim Nature, New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Nara?
Hey there, Nara Dalbaka here out of the Northern California region, I guess, at this point. And I'm with the Milo Group of California, and also very happy to take our knowledge of some of the drug policy and apply it here and help get something going on the state level.
Great to see you, Nara. Julia, you're up.
Hey everyone, I'm Julia Muir, and I'm the Chief Education Officer for Mr. Psychedelic Law, which is a 501c4 down here in South Florida, looking to decrim city to city and hopefully kind of put some legislative action out statewide.
Right on. Nice to see you. Kino out of Canada.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kino, and I live in the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, also known as Vancouver, British Columbia. I do drug policy and advocacy work, and I'm focusing my efforts on access and equity for marginalized and disenfranchised populations. It's good to meet you guys.
Thank you for joining us. Let's see. We got Justin Petty. How you doing today?
That's
Mudu. That's Mudu.
That's me,
Mudu.
Mudu Baki. that's my my birth name, Justin Petty. But this is Mudu again. So
Yeah.
peace again. Yeah.
Right on.
I had to. That's why I put the little tag up so everybody understand. All right.
Good. How you doing? All right, Ishi.
Hi, my name's Ishi Croy. I come from the Karuk Indian Reservation up in Northern California on the Klamath River, and I'm just coming to bring my background on the sweat lodge and just plant medicines of our lands. And I'm also proud to be able to be a part of Shane Nordy's church. I've been added to a few ceremonies now, and it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for having me, Carlos.
Right on, Ishi. Nice to see you. And I also will claim honor of being part of Shane's church. It's a beautiful experience. Now we're over, let's see, Oriana. How are you? Glad you can make it.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Oriana. I'm in Miami. I'm a native New Yorker, though, so this is temporary. And I'm actually speaking on a panel right now, but I jumped out to come to this. I'm going to keep jumping back and forth, but really excited to be here. I wouldn't typically be here, but the Portland folks converted me, and Carlos is great. So thanks for having me.
Right on. Glad you can make it. Solana.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Solana Booth. That's my government name. I'm up here in the Northwest, close to Puyallup Reservation, home of the people of the Duwamish, the Salish people. My nonprofit is Advocates of Sacred, and we're looking for allegiances in alignment with partnering with Mother Earth, plant medicines, advocating for people's spiritual and emotional justice, especially during these times. My son. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you. Glad you can make it. Courtney Barnes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney Barnes. I am an attorney who also had the opportunity to help craft Decriminalize Nature's Oakland Community Healing Initiative language, and I'm big on local policy reform and here to just be a resource and grateful to meet everyone.
Thanks for making it.
Of course.
Athonia, nice to see you.
Hey, how's it going, Carlos? How's it going, everybody? Athonia from Santa Cruz, Decriminalize Santa Cruz, and I always try to make it. It's actually kind of during my workday, but so I'll be on and off the camera, but I'm listening, and so looking forward to chatting with y'all. Thanks.
Nice to see you. Sam Evans, East Coast.
Hey guys, how's it going? Over here at Decrim Nature CT, I do social media for us, and I also am a MSW student at UConn Hartford, and we just recently established a Students for Sensible Drug Policy chapter over there as well. So great to be here, guys.
And you're Decrim Nature Connecticut.
That's correct. Yep.
Monique.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Monique, and good afternoon. I'm joining you from Detroit, Michigan.
Right on. Thank you. Nice to see you, Monique.
Hey, Monique.
All right. Well, so nice to see everybody. We're going to get started now. I'm going to start with a quick presentation overview for folks who are joining us for the first time of what is Decrim Nature. And that'll be about 5 to 7 minutes. And then from there, we're going to go into presentations from some of our folks here about what they hope to see in policy that's developed at the state of California and why it's important to them based on the work they do. So I'm going to get started. Let me do a little share screen in just a moment. All right. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you. Okay. So this is Decrim Nature. That's our website. And I want to lead by saying that Decrim Nature is a movement of compassion, equity, cooperation, and justice. The natural things that emerge from these are abundance, equitable access, and community building. This is the heart and ethos of our principles. So whatever we do, we seek to come from a place of compassion for our fellow brothers and sisters on this planet, as well as for our Mother Earth and the creation that gave us life. We do work. We learned a lot of what we know on how to engage and do policy work based on the wrongs that happen in the cannabis industry, particularly the rollout in Washington and California and other states, where Prop 64 went wrong. It prioritized profit and taxation over people and community. It was a top-down approach without commensurate bottom-up approach. It didn't protect or advocate for micro businesses from the get-go, and the social equity programs have not righted the wrongs of marginalizing people of color who were pushed out of cannabis as a result. We want to just offer a word of caution to policymakers that be careful with the words risk management as a tool to control equitable access. A lot of the things that we see happening in policy discussions throughout the US is that people are afraid of decriminalization of our plant entheogen, our plant allies, because of the risk of people doing themselves harm. We just want to bring attention to the fact that people have been doing plant medicines for tens of thousands of years. And most people who are on this call, if they've done plant medicines, have done it in a community setting. So the idea that it's a high risk is a fallacy. And we just want to put that right out there. And also beware of creating special class of permit holders without the underlying equitable access of decriminalized nature, because once you create special class of permit holders without decriminalization, you get people out. For of scarcity. There are 3 major modalities of providing services in the realm of psychedelics or plant medicines. It's community-based ceremony, clinical, and medical. Those are the 3 principal modalities. Of these, community-based ceremony is the most at risk because it's driven by compassion, not profit motive, or needs to control. So we just want to encourage folks to be very careful not to throw community-based ceremony by the wayside in developing policy. Also, there are 2 paradigms. There's a bottom-up and a top-down paradigm. We advocate the bottom-up approach, giving power to people, power to communities to determine their own ways of healing. And be careful not to throw that way as well, because marginalized communities benefit from the bottom-up model. There's two models that coexist: abundance and compassion approach, as well as a for-profit or scarcity creation approach. Obviously, we advocate abundance and compassion approach. It's a core part of our ethos. So what you're going to see in recommendations is based on that. I won't go. I'll just go through a few of these, but just to show you that our approach or entrance into the world, our paradigms deviate from the standard societal approach. In terms of our ego, we see ourselves as connected to and integrated into nature, not above or dominant over nature. In terms of living, we want to live in good relationship to nature, ecosystem, and humanity, as opposed to controlling nature or a reductionist-based model approach to living. Our healing comes from community. It's bottom up, as opposed to a highly controlled environment and detached from community. Our control is personal agency. We want to offer people personal agency to heal, as opposed to having to give that away to experts if they so choose to want to heal themselves, as opposed to having to go to a quote unquote expert to heal their own consciousness. The role of experts in our paradigm is advisory, as opposed to a full control through hierarchical systems. Our power structure is decentralized and bottom up. Consciousness for us is emergent, and most importantly, it's a human right. When you're born into this world, regardless of your place in our stratified society of wealth, you should have a right to access the highest self that you can. And right now, our society does not encourage that. And for us, entheogens are a human right, not something that should be illegal. Our coalition-based approach, we believe that can win. We recognize that we live in a society that promotes competition, extraction, and strict controls, leading to scarcity and inequitable access. Our priorities seek to reorient policies towards more just and equitable approaches. We want to prevent the mistakes we made with cannabis legalization, and we want to do that working with you all and policymakers through a coalition-minded approach, where the values of DN, decrim nature, that you just saw, find a home in policymaking. So our priorities are full decriminalization without limits of growing, gathering, gifting, and sharing of entheogenic plants, just like with tomatoes, lemons, and herbs. If limits are introduced, enforcement will be needed. And when you introduce enforcement, BIPOC communities pay the higher price. And we believe that it's a human right to access the gifts of nature and our ancestors. Legal protections from state and federal prosecution for those providing community-based ceremonies. So once we decriminalize, we also want to make sure we're providing legal protections for people who do community-based ceremony and who hold space, like curanderos. This picture here on this slide is actually from the Wixárika community, of which Susana and Angelica are with. This community has been practicing peyote-based ceremony for over 5,000 years, and really are the knowledge holders and the wisdom holders of how to do plant-based medicine in their regions. These relationships are personal ones for us between the space holder and the person doing their own healing of trauma with plant medicine. We do not believe they should get into a highly regulated environment of certifications. So we would like protections for them. Creation of community serving micro businesses, enabling creation of living wage jobs, local enterprises, and opportunities is also a priority for us, and it's actually in our community healing initiative. The idea there is that as we saw in the cannabis industry, when venture capital came in, it really just decimated the potential for participation amongst the BIPOC community, and we'd like to make sure that we actually create space for people of color, BIPOC communities, low-income people in communities, to be able to create their own enterprises and be able to serve their own communities with micro businesses. And then finally, we also want to create public health research studies that are community driven, based on assessing the results of our own community-based ceremonies. This is different, say, than a Johns Hopkins study that might look at a very artificial setting with a very controlled synthetic product or material. And look at an unrealistic outcome based on a compound. What we want to do is study what's happening in our actual communities. And that's also embedded in our OCHI ordinance. This is the last slide. We believe that we get to heal ourselves. This is the center circle there is where any of us might find healing through participation in community-based organizations, churches, local churches, social justice organizations, in a Wamkish. And you might get subject matter experts who are Western medicine providers, who are facilitators, urban inner city radical healing models, indigenous healers would hold space. These are all subject matter experts, but the real healing comes from within the individual. And that's it. Larry, would you remind me who is our first speaker?
Yes, the first speaker is Mama Anna.
Oh, Mama Yana. Peace family again. Well, it was put to me to the questions being to recognize Detroit, the community of Detroit. And in the recognition of Detroit, I'd like to say that we are a very, very deeply spiritual place. But inside of that spirituality, there is a flip side to that. And I don't want to offend anybody who may be Christians at this point. However, with that being said, in the deep spirituality, there is that fear of moving forward towards something unknown, the occult, or should I say psychedelics, or should I say hallucinogenic drugs, as they would call them. So because we've had that stigma, the religious-based people here have given us a particularly hard time. And that's where Kalindi's legacy comes in at. I mean, actually his legacy speaks for itself, but tapping into Detroit itself and reaching very deep into the spiritual side of the people who really needed to know more, see more, feel more. That was where his work was most felt at. You see, we live in a abnormal civilized community. They give us abnormal drugs to cope in this society rather. And with that being said, you have 1 in 5 people. Well, I'm going to speak specifically about women. You have 1 in 5 women who are on psychotropic drugs. Their first thing to do is to run to a psychiatrist, and they're going to give them Xanax, and they're going to give them Paxil and things like that in order to just cope on a daily basis. Whereas with the decriminalization of these beautiful plant and fungi, I would recommend microdosing, so that you won't take a psychotropic drug just to put a Band-Aid on your issues, that you will actually be healing yourself through the use of microdosing. So Baba Kalindi was able to tap into that space with people, those that chose to believe, because trust me, it wasn't that easy. It took him a while to kind of break through. But what you all see coming forth now has a lot to do with a lot of his work. And I'm so pleased to see so many people across the country and out of the country doing this work. Baba had to leave this place and go to Europe in order to actually be heard, and then come back here in order for it to be felt and understood. So again, speaking of decriminalizing, we get a choice. We have an option as opposed to going to the psychiatrist. We would seek out someone who would be able to guide us in setting or offer us the opportunity to microdose. And for those of you who have microdosed on psilocybin, is what I'm speaking of specifically, you would understand that it just cools you out. It levels you off. I have 3 police officers in a particular state in the South that are microdosing, and it has saved their careers and basically their lives. They kept their edge as a police officer, but they have managed to cool out where they just don't take and shoot somebody 9 times in the back just because they're afraid, you know? So in our community, we are moving forward, and we're taking this work through the KI network, which is pushing very hard through people like Mudu, who speaks very eloquently about what it is that we need to do and what we have to do. And we've created this community, and we're going to share it, and we're going to take over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama Yana. Beautiful. Grateful for your words. Who's next, Larry?
Next is Susanna Naikutsi.
Thank you. And I wanted to just say a couple of things before we transition over to Susanna Naikutsi. Mama Yana mentioned Kalindi. Kalindi is quite legendary in the space for having done some heavy duty work in bringing community. to medicine in a way that was really, I would say, honored the divine masculine and the divine feminine very beautifully. And it was an honor to be there and witness his legacy firsthand. So with that, Susanna Nakutsi have done the work for many years of ensuring that longtime community-based ceremony is protected in one of the oldest traditions still using plant medicine. Susanna.
Hello. So I'm from Mexico. I'm the director of the Regional Center for Cultural Survival and Traditional Arts. And I married into this Native culture in the 70s and have dedicated my life to making sure that their spiritual traditions stay intact, because they're one of the only First Nations civilizations that have able to survive against all of the obstacles that have faced so many Indigenous cultures. And because of that, because of my lifelong dedication to enabling them, helping them to survive into the modern world, I was a Nobel Peace Prize nominee last year, and really honored to have gotten that nomination so that I could bring the knowledge that the Urarika, also known as the Huichol people, have kept alive. And their staying power to endure the test of time is due in large part to the ritual use of the peyote cactus. Medicine people, shamans, and the Huichol population at large use it for their spiritual, transformative, and healing properties. Because the central core of their belief system is rooted in the ways that this revered plant allies teaches its human caretakers through visions and dreams to utilize the peyote and the powers of this sacred medicine to benefit the common good. So it's really important to realize that what they call the plant of the gods contributes to the well-being of their people and to the collective health of their communities. And by extension, they contribute to the spiritual well-being and the peaceful coexistence of all humanity on our planet. So they believe that the sacred cactus allows them to form alliances between humans in the mundane physical world and the supernatural entities of Mother Nature's world in the invisible metaphysical realm. And they form relationships of reciprocity between humans and natures that have evolved over the millennia, because the peyote allows them to be in direct communication with the invisible metaphysical realm. And so, let's see. So their culture provides insight. Their culture and the ceremonial use of this visionary plant cultivates seeds of human consciousness that actually grow into ecological imperatives that are needed these days to protect our planet against all the threats that we're all facing as the human tribe. So these realizations lead to more loving relationships and promote a more peaceful world. And in ceremony, they're enlightened with soul knowledge. And soul knowledge is universal. And it's stored deep within the inner core of their minds, which can only be accessed through the right usage of these really sacred medicines that should be available to all humanity. And just as to wrap it up, let me say that this cactus is endangered. The medicine is endangered. Its habitat is being destroyed by mining companies, by ecotourism, by agro-industrial businesses that are just sweeping clean the natural habitat of this most sacred medicine that has so many healing and therapeutical properties. And if it's not decriminalized, it's going to become extinct. Thank you for letting me express my views today.
Thank you, Susanna. Ikuchi,
Hi.
give us a couple minutes of your time.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ikuchi, and I'm on the board of Decriminalize Nature. I'm Wirarika American. I'm Susanna's daughter. I'm also on the bridge building committee of the Oakland Community Healing Initiative, OCHI, that we're looking to save here. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my upbringing, that as a Wirarika and a traditional Wirarika, was that I always was surrounded by tradition and us doing, well, everybody in the ceremony does peyote. I'm from the peyote people. And one of the realizations I had is how normal it was, how normal the environment was, and how it wasn't seen in different eyes, but how everybody was knowledgeable, not just from the elders that were the carriers of the medicine, but the children and the families, and families came together, and it just was like a wonderful environment. But as a personal experience, what it did to me was I was a very sick person. I was always sick. And this is how I became in this journey. And I also went through clinic, but at the same time, when I joined into ceremony and saw the healers and the shamans, they really supported me to use these medicines, right? Which is hikuri, peyote, and I'm not a sick person anymore. And I'm not just sick, I'm pretty brilliant now. You know, and I'm a really good human being, and my heart is open, and I have empathy and love, and really resonate with nature. And something that I feel that is so special about these entheogens is that that is so important, why it's so accessible for people, is because medicines, plants should be free. People should be free. And there's something really incredibly disturbing happening in the world, and it's time for us to correct it. And one of the ways to correct it is by starting, why are plants not accessible for the people of their medicines, healing medicines and sacraments? So I just like to share that small thought with you, and hope that we can make this accessible for all people, indigenous people. I know in California, there's more than 109 tribes that aren't on reservations, but are free. And I think that it'd be nice for everybody to also have a place of prayer. But when we walk outside, to know that, you know, this is a way of life, and that this universe, this planet is our church, and to honor it and love it and respect it. And that's my prayer. And I thank you so much for inviting me to this and permitting me to share those words with you.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Ikuchi. Ismay, would you share some words? Ismay, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, brother. Peace.
Peace.
Yes, peace, family. Yeah, man. Like you say, a lot of powerful folks on the line, a lot of collective genius. So I think I just really want to just add my, my change. I ain't gonna call it 2 cents necessarily. You can put any denomination you want on it. But just really thinking about the downloads that we receive from these ceremonies and the beautiful messages, and just really thinking about what sustained community engagement looks like. Like, you know what I mean? Taking the messages and really applying them to your life. And I think the word that comes up for me is agency. Like, how do we instill the agency of the brothers and sisters that participate in these ceremonies to really feel empowered to make that change and transformation in their lives? And we know it takes work. We know there's no such thing as being quote unquote healed. We know healing is a process. We know transformation is a process, and really just creating spaces and containers to give people the opportunity to really explore what that looks like for them in their lives without stress, without, because when in terms of OCHI, a lot of, kind of what we're also trying to achieve is basically going into the hood, going into parts of America and throughout the world that might have quote unquote been forgotten. And within those communities, there aren't a lot of resources, right? So when we're opening people up, we also have to consider what's next? What are the next steps if there's no community there to hold them or to process through, you know, a profound experience they might have had. I only say this to say, you know, we've experienced it as Spirit works within our youth work. You know, we might take youth, you know, on beautiful experiences. We might take them to the woods and have them share stories that they might not have shared or had experiences they might not have experienced before. And, you know, what we noticed was youth that had some type of foundation or some type of community to return home to had a different trajectory than those that got open and really didn't have a way to be held through the process when they returned home. Many times they would return home to their abuser or their traumatic situation. So we brought up the question of, are we doing more harm than good, right? So what we suggested and what we started to move towards was the holistic approach. And that's kind of when we moved more towards family engagement as well as community engagement, because what we realized is it's a lot of decolonizing and a lot of unlearning that we have to do. And, you know, a lot of education and we just need time. You know, a lot of our people are just on survival. They don't have the privilege of just being able to sit down and think. But, you know, as simple as that sounds, to think of a different way, to imagine a different way. So I would just like to see this plant-based movement allow people the opportunity to imagine again and have possibilities for a new world they would like to create collectively, and you know, really have that manifest in a tangible way. So thank y'all. I hope I didn't take over too much time, Carlos, but give thanks. You know, I get excited, brother.
No, and as always, you touch my heart because you speak truth, man. It's beautiful. I just want to lift something up. You know, a question that we asked ourselves early on is, how ethical is it to enable somebody to have these profound experiences with plants and then not have opportunity to heal if they're living in a community with few resources? And what C-Sway speaks to is that we have to carry them all the way through to finding opportunities, jobs, housing, good food, community. And so for the micro business component of this is key to that, because we have to ensure that good jobs are being created in the neighborhoods where we are enabling people to wake from that trauma-based imprisonment for many. So thank you, as always, beautiful words. Larry, who's next? I lost my agenda.
Shane is next.
Oh, Shane. Yeah, Shane, would you share some words with us, brother?
Yes, definitely. Good evening, everyone. Shane Nordy, coming out of here, Piowa Chinland, down here at Southern California. Like I said, founder, spiritual leader here at Church of People for Creator Mother Earth, and you know, just happy to be a part of, you know, Decriminalize Nature Oakland team. And I just wanted to give just a little story here, real quick, just about how the church was founded. So, you know, in 2018, you know, I lost my father to cancer, and you know, went through the whole you know, the whole colonization of like what was pressed on us through the church, you know, the belief systems and how we take care of our dead when they pass. And so, you know, I went through that whole, you know, the constructs going to the church and going through their process of the things. And, you know, I didn't feel healing, you know, I didn't feel any real like peace, you know, with that, my father's passing. So I had, through my work, you know, I've traveled throughout the country. I've helped fight, you know, with many Native fights throughout the country, my brothers and sisters, you know, for our lands and our rights, you know, as people to be here. And within that time, I came across my brothers in Oklahoma who, you know, part of NAC, you know, they work with peyote as a sacrament of healing. And I just let them know, you know, my father passed, you know, and I needed to have a ceremony, you know, I needed to heal because I don't feel good. You know, I wasn't feeling myself after the passing of my father. So, you know, they came down and we set everything up. You know, we ended up setting up a lodge and we ended up praying. And you know, I came to good terms, beautiful terms with past my father, good healing, you know, good like I said, a good sense of the truth of how things went, you know, through his passing without having to be angry or, you know, lost within things like that, you know. So, but at that moment I realized, you know, this spot right here, it needs to be not only for myself and family, but people need to come experience this healing, you know, because this land is powerful, this land is healing. So a little fast forward, you know, I end up getting involved with my mother, talking a little bit about her stories, about like what I've been through. And she ended up taking me up to our mountain, which is, where our women would have their puberty rite ceremonies, and they would paint on the rock what they would see during their visions and whatnot. And this was on one of our rocks. I don't know if you guys can all see it, but there's mushrooms, and it shows the ocean, because originally we're not from here. When the world flooded, we caught the San Luis Rave down from Oceanside up here to survive out the flood. But anyways, back to what my mother was saying, she's expressing about how our people have always used these medicines, and we use them to combat evil, to heal sickness, to get rid of things that we didn't need for ourselves here, to have a good time here on this earth while we had it. And so right there, that gave me hope, and understanding, because doing the work, of praying and healing with this medicine, I started to realize, why was this happening this way, why things were in this form, in this manner. So that really much concluded to me why it was happening. And then fast forward a little more, get more involved with my community. And I talked to our last medicine man, who was the last keeper of the Wamkish, because like I said, the church banned it, deemed it illegal, and the government. So we couldn't practice our ways. And then I ended up getting involved with him and expressed to him, how the lodge went through, how I healed through peyote. And he's like, that's your Wamkish, that's our big house. That's where we pray. That's where we healed. That's where our people were born. It's where people had their puberty rights. People were married. People died. Where we cremated, because we cremated our dead. So we would do it in there, or off close to the lodge. So our whole life constructed around the Wamkish, and then to get that understanding, and then to come back to these old ways. Because like I said, for me, I didn't grow up, teaching. I'm very colonized, very brought up colonized ways. I was raised, Catholic, Christian, went through all these things. And then, like I said, to now bring this back and to experience the healing of the sacred medicine, and not only the medicine, but this land and creator, Mother Earth. It was a beautiful thing, and it was empowering to remind myself of, like, this is what my people have always had, before we had the things that were impressed on us, that were forced upon us, that we assimilated into, the thousands and hundreds of years of healing we had prior, before the traumas and pains that we're in now. So, then I, like I said, fast forward, get involved with Carlos, and I expressed to him, what we do, the work here. And I said, let's have a ceremony, and he ended up coming down and being a part of it. And it was beautiful, that we got to hands-on experience, go up the mountain and whatnot. And, everything's been working out beautiful. And like I said, fast forward a little now, this past weekend, I had my relative, he's a recovering addict, and he just got out of rehab, and he was to come to his first time of ceremony, and he was to witness it. And, he was expressing about how, why can't we have more of this? Why can't our people heal? He's like, I understand why your people come, and I also had a former combat veteran, Navy SEAL, and he was expressing the same thing, about why can't people have these forms of healing? Why can't people be able to come and get this real true healing, and it was beautiful to feel that. And it's beautiful to hear everyone's walks of life and healings in this. And it's beautiful that we're coming together. So, one thing that I hope out of this, is that, with things in California, is that they do push for the rights for not only us as Indigenous people, but for all people to have the rights to, pray, heal, recover from traumas, addictions, whatever it may be. But it should be our right to heal and to have natural medicines, to have access for our people. And I can attest for that from my tribe of community that comes from medicine and ceremonies, and that, it works and it heals, and there's people on this call that have been here and have testified it for themselves. So I just want to say thank you guys again, and thank you again for the time.
Thank you, Shane. Beautiful. All right. Much appreciated. Julia, would you share some words with us?
Absolutely. My name is Dr. Julia Muir, and while I do not have formal experience with plant medicines as some of the speakers today have, I have experience from the medical side. I resigned from my pediatric residency because I wasn't buying what I was selling. I knew we weren't using all the tools available to us, but I didn't know what was missing. I resigned to pursue alternative healing paths, but I discovered the unbelievable healing potential of psychedelics by accident through my own experiences. Seeing the state of our healthcare system from the inside, I realized quickly that these medicines can offer the much needed healing, not only for our patients, but also for the healthcare workers who are not immune to the increasing rates of mental health conditions in this country. In a way, doctors and healthcare workers are a part of a tribe. We share wisdom passed down for generations, and we learn by apprenticeship. Unfortunately, following the COVID pandemic specifically, the number of physician burnout is increasing and leaving many of us at a loss for what to do our community is simply suffering. The reason community ceremony is so important to protect is that it allows people to experience the healing potential of psychedelics before their condition reaches a critical point that requires medical attention. If these experiences are limited to medical use, then we're saying that someone has to suffer in order to gain access. Not only does this harm society, but it also creates a bottleneck to access. And we are already expecting there to be a shortage of qualified practitioners to provide these experiences in a medical setting. These are powerful medicines. And at one point, I believe that it's imperative that we control how these experiences are given to the masses. But then I realized that's still the ego talking, because who am I to say that I was able to do this outside a medical framework, but others won't be able to do it? In fact, every person advocating for the decriminalization of entheogenic plants and fungi today did not experience these things under any medical framework. Yes, I do believe that it's important to have this framework, the medical one, as an option for those people who feel more comfortable in this medical setting. But it's crucial to protect the people's rights to explore these non-ordinary states of consciousness in a community setting first and foremost, especially because I truly believe that while the medicine can be valuable in its own, the greatest healing occurs when these lessons are integrated into one's life, which is so much more possible when you have a community to share this experience with. The other consideration is that in order to offer this medicine, it is so valuable to know what it feels like. I love the line that says, the experience is necessary to add emotional understanding to intellectual belief. With all the media attention of this reemerging field is getting, many healthcare workers are curious about how psychedelics can help them with their own symptoms. But the fear of persecution is still there because it is still illegal. In addition to that, the legal status of these psychedelics prevents those people who have the knowledge about how to incorporate these medicines for healing from speaking freely, furthering the knowledge gap that still exists to this day. Now in Canada, a group called TheraPsil has successfully granted some patients access to psilocybin therapy, but the doctors are still waiting for the right to experience this for themselves. The medical community is who my heart bleeds for the most. This is my niche, so I'll stick to representing this side of things as I close. Imagine the possibility if our doctors can explore these medicines before they hit the mainstream medical system. Imagine how much better these doctors will be able to show up for their patients if they're able to show up for themselves. And even though there's a growing distrust for the medical system, and understandably so, because a lot of us are so burnt out, we've forgotten that we're there to care. We've forgotten how to care. But imagine if we can get these doctors access to these things through community ceremony. And this is why it's important to protect the community ceremony. If we heal the healers, we heal the world. And that's all I have to say.
Beautiful. Thank you, Julia. Really appreciate that. All right, we're gonna go. We got a few more speakers here. Mudu, you want to share some words with us, please?
Yeah, excuse the delay. Yeah, I appreciate everyone's words because they were just so on point, and I couldn't agree with it more. I'll just pitch in my perspective, and one of the things that I guess will help push this conversation forward. I think one of the things that these sacred plants reintroduce to the human or to our society and our cultures is the realm of the mystery. And the reason that the mystery is so important, there's several reasons. One is that we live in a society that's full of assumption and smug approaches. Whether we talk about science, economics, or anything else, there's a very assumptive nature to the people that lead our society. And what that leads to is a lot of danger. And part of that leads to a lack of humility when it comes to how, decisions affect humans, And then the second reason I think the mystery is important is for us all to be humble and to understand that we are all just as capable of bringing and introducing and creating new things for this world And so that's another thing that I think is important. I think Seasway spoke on the importance of creativity. Those are like so important. But I want to tie in also to the concept of traditional healing that existed for many thousands of years. And the basic concept of many world cultures was that when people in your society is sick, it represents a sickness of society of itself. So ceremony is one of those ways that we recognize that the healing is not just singular, it's everyone. Because in order for sick people to exist, we have to somehow, either deal with the conditions that created that sickness or contribute to it, which indicates a sickness in itself. The second thing I think is important about ceremony and importance that this remains in the hands of people and community is group support. Whenever it comes to breaking habits or breaking bad life cycles, all the research and all the results come from surrounding those people with community. It's like you can put someone through the best addiction programs to break them from, harmful behaviors. But if they come back into a community that's non-supportive and that doesn't have an understanding or that isn't tied into their health, well, it's all for naught. I think we also need a reconnection with culture and understanding and how a different relationship between people. And so these plans have a way of stripping away pretentiousness and the mask that we show ourselves and each other. More than anything, I think we need to use community and participate in these plants and experiences with community, just so that we can all reaffirm our own experiences. People go through these experiences and feel that it's something that they can't speak to anyone about, or that it's just something that was a dream or something that wasn't relevant or real. And so the larger community is, the better it makes the person understand that there are other realities that we know nothing about, and that they belong to a community of people who experience, who support them, and who know, and who is reconnecting with the right approaches to it. So that's one of the reasons that I'm so adamant about keeping it a community and not caging it into the hallways of the professional culture, which is just try to profit from it. And essentially, the professional culture doesn't know enough about it. It's still a mystery. So no matter how many times they try to synthesize it or boil it down to simple chemical analysis, these plants hold something that science has yet to understand. So that's one of the reasons that I think we all should be citizen scientists as we approach this and we use it to heal our communities. Those are my words. Peace, everybody.
Scientists. Voodoo, grateful, thank you.
Yes.
Profound words. Take a breath on that one. All right, Ishi, would you give us some words?
Ayuki Ukic. Hello, how are you guys? I'm from the Karuk Indian people up in Northern California off the Klamath River. And yeah, I've grown up around ceremony since I was younger. My grandpa Charlie was a medicine man. He was raised to heal and to teach these ways and to take care of the land. And he, in his prophecies, he's seen that in order to save these medicines and our sacred ways and our traditions, that he needed to open up these teachings to all people. And that's where I kind of get my backstory from, my background from, as far as where I'm getting my learning from, and same thing I'm learning from his kids. And I've been blessed to experience the Wamkish with Shane Nordy at his church up in La Jolla. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful setting. It's helped me reconnect to myself and get me on my journey to where I can help people and bring people up for healing. And it's honestly awesome to hear everybody here speaking about healing through plant medicines and natural settings, through ceremonies. And one of the reasons why I'm really here, though, is because I want to really protect these ceremonies, because they are sacred. They're as sacred as some of these medicines. And I see a lot of people using these in a wrong way. And I want people to understand that these are a beautiful thing. And just like these medicines, we want to treat them with respect. And, if you're going to be running ceremonies, hopefully you're running them the right way and you learn from the right way. And like Shane said, he learned from the medicine man, the last medicine man of the mountain. And, it's not bad to, take a few steps back and learn from these elders, like how like you say, you know, we've been around for thousands of years. We've been using these medicines for thousands of years since while civilizations were rising and falling. We were doing this consistently, healing people through ceremony, through plant medicine. Some plant medicines that aren't even being spoken about, like this Ignis here, like these cedars, like these things are so beautiful. And there's other things that we need to protect. You know, we need to put protections on these sweat lodge ceremonies, these Wamkishes, and you know, these terms, the medicine man, medicine woman, and shaman, because they are sacred. They're just those terms are just as sacred as these medicines that we're trying to help heal with. And, you know, to actually share this knowledge and to help people, and this ancient knowledge is a beautiful thing. And that's why I resonate with Shane. That's why I go to his church, because he's willing to open up to other people, because that's a beautiful thing to do. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it from young people. Like he said, his cousin, one of my best friends, he, you know, was hooked on the fentanyl and those things that are it's just troubling everybody. It's not just on the Indian reservation. I've seen him get the realization like, wow, this is a beautiful thing, living for life, and seeing how grateful he was at the end of these ceremonies, at the end of the sweat lodge. He even said a strong prayer. And, you know, it's just beautiful to see this medicine work. And it's just beautiful to see everybody really get this healing. And like Shane said, you know, we had a Navy vet in there, and, you know, I've talked to a few UFC fighters since then, and Muay Thai fighters. They're going to come out and get some healing. You know, just trying to get people from all different backgrounds to really experience true healing. Because, you know, everybody fights their battles, especially like these guys. They put them on a pedestal to be superheroes and super tough, but they're human too, you know, and to be able to bring them down and to actually give them this healing that's so beautiful and genuine, brings you to the earth and actually makes you feel beautiful inside and happy inside and love, makes you want to go to your people and let them know you love them and take care of your people. And, you know, I just want to, like I said, protect these settings, protect these areas, and protect this medicine for the people, like how everybody's saying. You know, we all have this right to actually heal the right way. And I hope everybody respects each other and respects each other's wishes. And at the end of the day, we all got to come together to really get done the right way. And I thank you guys so much for allowing me to talk. You know, I'm still young and I'm still learning myself, but I appreciate the time. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you, E.T. And I know you're up there.
Go take a shower and wash up good.
There, you got that? You got, just want to thank you, Ishi, for those words, beautiful words. And I know you're up there fighting to get your river back and get the ecosystem back and the plant life back the way it was. So we're your allies here. So keep us posted on how we can help in your communities fight for their environment, for their nature, their ecosystem.
Really appreciate it.
Right on, brother. Oyi, would you share some words with us, brother?
Peace, everybody. At this particular point, y'all have me very emotional. And Mama Ayana always, not all the time, but she will say, and this, like, that's my mama, my business partner, and she will say, she's hung up on me sometimes because I can evoke emotions, and she'd be like, I don't feel like crying right now. And that's where this particular call has me right now, just thinking about, I did have something I wanted to talk about, and then just listening and being a strategist, because that's how I came to the KI network, was being the chief strategy officer. Sun Tzu, I've been studying since I was 18. I was recruited to go to West Point. And instead of going to West Point, I took a banking and finance scholarship and turned it into a drug organization on a college campus. And the college campus wasn't big enough, so I let my drug organization, illegal drug organization, spread over into the community, which was dishonorable. And dropped out of school, continued to grow my dishonorable community and spreading negative energy, disagreeable energy in my community, the community that accepted me. And I became someone who was looked up to and who was inspirational to folks, to young people. And they were inspired to follow my path. And that means they got in trouble with the law. That means they started, they helped the spread of drugs and destruction in our community. They helped spread dishonorable behavior. And then one day I realized that it took the same effort for me to be an inspiration, and those same people were watching me in my particular transformation from dishonorable to honorable. And when I told Baba Kalindi I would help him with the Detroit Psychedelic Conference, he didn't say, well, I'm gonna pass, I'm gonna die before this happens. But he did anyway. And then I started realizing how much of an honorable giant he was, and how he fought for this particular communication to be brought to urban communities who looked like him and came from where he came from, which was poverty consciousness, having to buy secondhand clothes for himself and children to sacrifice. And he wanted to change that by being a man of honor. A lot of people don't know that Kalindi's grandfather was Bumpy Johnson, godfather of Harlem. And he could have easily chosen that particular lineage, but he chose an honorable path. And his example is still resonating through the amount of people in the world who follow his example and say, I want to transition. And the way he led it was through ceremony, through showing his community members and his extended community members how ceremony could transform their lives. And he helped transform my life through influencing me to take that example of transformation and honor. And now I look behind myself and I see the way I'm supported by people who want to transform their lives. And that's the reason why ceremony is important to me, because it's an honorable thing to do. It's an honorable way to transform. And the communities that I represent, that the KI Network represents, and the way we are so easily able to reach these communities is because we come from a language of hurt and harm and dishonor. And when an honorable person who used to be dishonorable returns and says, hey, here's how, and you can still speak that language, is gonna have the most impact. And that's what I'm representing. And I feel, and that's why I stand firm with the KI Network, with Decrim Nature, with C's Way, with Shane, with people I haven't even met. The sister on here who's an attorney, the sister who's a doctor, the young brother who is up there fighting for his stuff, and he in his 20s, and I can just hear the honor flowing through him. Like, that's the ceremony behind the ceremony. It's the results of ceremony that you see honor, where dishonor and trauma is being sold. Yeah, trauma is being sold everywhere, but there's no producers of honor. Those of us who hold ceremony and participate in ceremony, we represent honor. And so to me, that's what ceremonies represent, is the honorable side of our nature, but it needs to be shown more. So that's why I need protection. The sovereigns need protection, so we can continue to demonstrate honor, so that change can happen organically from our communities who see us, you know what I'm saying, who have seen us. They've seen me roll up a blunt in the little, I come back, I leave the weed on the table and come back, and the little 4-year-old, now she holding the tobacco, she holding the weed in her mouth. Like, she's just doing what she saw me do. But now, what if she sees me and she's 21 and she's thinking about dropping out of college, and she sees an honorable man who used to be dishonorable come and say, hey, You just take another step, take another step. Here's help for your transformation. That's why this is important to me. That's why this is important to the KI network. And that's why I am going to continue to be so vigilant in this particular work. I appreciate you, Carlos, and I appreciate everybody on this call. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Oye, and thanks for sharing some vulnerability there. I received it deep in the heart. Thank you. All right, Larry, who's next, brother?
It's a guy named Carlos.
No, Solana, you got the old version. Solana, and then Kat, and then we'll wrap up. We want to make space for Angela or others working on policy to ask questions, but let's close out with Solana and then Kat.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now qualis cloak off CM, I squatachi CISCM. Ishjanawaji, Solana, Lachlan Blue, Nooksack, Mohawk Bay Quint, Delawanuth, Beatrice Anderson, Chief Sam George, Chief Joe Ortiz, White Owl House of the Wolf, William Booth, Violet Atkinson, Raven Ganhara, Delawanuth, Timikochi Chante, Tanakus Nalak Suwaida, Lanina Limina Utsu Awul Miam, Damganawalt, Dewan. So my 3 Indian names are Solana, Ishjanawaji, and Lachlan Blue. So from the heart of the prairie to the heart of the ocean, the universe sings to my soul, and because of God, it'll be done, so be it. It's in radical humility and prayers to be with you all today. Thank you for the invitation, for the call to action. As Executive Director and Principal of Advocates of Sacred, I wanted to share some Ayakadak, some ancestral tellings and truth with everyone. As a mother and grandmother, daughter, sister, ally of humanity, advocate of humanity, pregnant people especially. I'm a pipe carrier. I carry a Chinoopa, sun dancer, smokehouse, secret society, lead doctor for my family and the people up here in the Pacific Northwest. My objective with this presentation today, or this evening, is to advocate for all people to recover themselves in truth, inclusivity and love, remind everyone of our birthrights to heal, our birthrights to reconcile these relationships within ourselves and Mother Earth. It's our privilege to connect their highest selves to one another, remind us that only the truth keeps us warm, and the evidence of that is what you see outside. So if there's an experience or interpretation of any kind of emotion, whether it's something that causes grief or pain, or something that makes you feel like you're missing something, if you're looking outside for it, it might not exist, because outside Mother Earth is constantly showing us examples of the truth and her interpretations of collaborations, successful relationships within each individual plant, food, and medicine. She shows us those protocols of the protector plants, the vanguards of the forest, the trees that are fire resistant, the trees that bend in the wind and their flexibility, the plants that only grow in higher elevation, the mushrooms that are born out of waste of the forest and typically after fires. So the truth about reconciliation and these opportunities that, like tonight, how we can educate and remind each other through the invitations and connecting back to the truth that can keep us warm, right? I know that from my experience with myself and my family and people that I've associated with, feelings of jealousy, envy, greed, or lust, or any kind of like negative connotative emotion that doesn't keep people warm, that doesn't help you rest. And so Advocates of Sacred is going to always continue to encourage and inspire the human family, the people, to reconnect and partner with Mother's breath, to reconnect and partner in building on our strengths, including this generational evidence of sound and practical sustainable efforts for our grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren. So we're just wanting to invite you to align with us in any way that you see fit. If there's traditional storytelling that you are aware of or that you're in need of, we're constantly just wanting to promote and advocate for this renewed, reconciled relationship to Mother Earth, to her breath, to these plant medicines, for there to be less and then zero objectification of our strengths, objectification of what folks can be exploiting. And so I just want to thank you so much for your time. And I loved all the powerful words, and this movement is so necessary and it's greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Solana. Always beautiful to hear your words. So we're going to close it out with Kat, Kat Kerner. You can share a little bit of who you are and why you believe it's important to protect community-based ceremony. And then we're going to take questions from policymakers.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to jump on in this late hour. I am absolutely blown away by the people who are on this call and who have spoken thus far. Really, really very emotionally moving. I'm a little bit tired. I actually just came out of ceremony with someone that I was with for the day, so I'm a little bit already kind of tired, and that's when my defenses come down. So I've just been sitting here basically crying since I got on the call. So thank you. I'm going to cry some more. So let me just talk about some facts, and maybe that'll take me out of that heart space. My name is Kat Kerner. I've been around the healing arts and medicine for about 18 years. Although I sat first with mushrooms when I was 13, I was trained in the peyote way through the Native American Church for years, although I don't consider myself a part of the Native American Church or really associated with them any longer. I come from the Cherokee Nation. Unfortunately, my family did not grow up on a reservation. We were brought up to really shun the Native American culture because my grandmother married a white man who took her away from her roots. And I had to rediscover all of my beautiful culture later. But I don't practice in my native way. I practice in the way that I was called to, which was to work with psilocybin. I was called to work with people at the end of their lives. I was a hospice volunteer for many years. And when I learned that they were trying to basically bring relief to people at the end of their lives using psilocybin, I thought, this is my calling. And so I began to sit with people who were terminally ill. Where I live in San Diego, I happen to be good friends with someone who works with a doctor who allows people to have a dignified death. And it became a natural flow where they would refer people to me that wanted to sit in a psilocybin ceremony and help to get some answers towards the end of their life. That is where my heart is. I'm one of those people who happen to really enjoy working with people who are at the end of their lives. Since this psychedelic renaissance has happened, there's just more and more people who are sort of seeking out all different kinds of one-on-one ceremony. I still call it ceremony, even though it's different from the ceremony that I do in teepee around fire. It's a little bit of a combination, I would say, of almost a clinical model meets an indigenous model, if you will. I've been thinking a lot about our need to be able to simply have the right to not only sit with these medicines, but also to seek out the right people to sit with in medicine. And this is something that is formulating right now in my consciousness. And so forgive me if it's not very eloquent, because it's really come to me over the last couple of days, because we've been talking so much about creating some kind of a guild of guides or creating some kind of framework so that we're able to say, you know, if you have been a guide for this amount of time, you're able to do this, or you're able to, or you can have a certification, or, and the more that I sat with that and the more that I've thought about that, I thought, wow, you know, as human beings, we really don't give ourselves much credence, that we have the ability intuitively to ask the right questions of a person that we're considering to sit with, or to research. I mean, now we have the internet, you know, I mean, if someone is not doing good work, you know, people are going to talk about it. You're going to know that. So for me, when I started doing this work very underground, my idea and my hope was that I would be just one person, you know, just one point of light. And then from that point of light, it shines out, and then other points of light come up. So anyone who has ever wanted to work with medicine in this way, who has sought me out, I've always given my time freely to do that, because I ultimately feel that we need lots and lots and lots and lots of light workers and helpers and ceremony holders. And so it's my hope that we can obviously decriminalize all of nature. I feel all drugs should be decriminalized, but that we can also hopefully influence lawmakers and educate lawmakers that we do have the ability to govern ourselves and our own souls and our own consciousness. And like many of us right now could go to a liquor store and choose to buy a bottle or 5 bottles of wine. You know, this is our choice. And I would like to see a conversation sort of begin around empowering each of us to be, to have the ability to, we don't need to be nannied. We don't need to be, you know, we're not performing open heart surgery, so we don't need to have a medical degree. We need to trust ourselves. We need to come with good hearts in a good way. And ultimately, I think the rest sort of takes care of itself in a way, you know, that just come from a good place. And if you want to sit with medicine, if you want to serve medicine, train with elders. But we don't have 20 years for people to apprentice and come up with medicine in the way that it would be lovely if we could. We have a lot of human beings in this world that are suffering. And some of those humans will be able to come and sit with me and my teepee around fire, and they will be able to have a beautiful ceremony. It will transform them. Some people will go to Johns Hopkins University and they will sit with a medicine in a clinical environment, and that will help them. And I think that, you know, like I was so moved by Ishi and that spirit and that beautiful, powerful, youthful voice that I'm so thrilled to be on the planet with at this time. And it's so important, and I agree. But I think we also have to make sure that that we understand that, you know, we're all human first, and that we all deserve healing, whichever way we come to it. So thank you very much for letting me ramble on and sit here and cry. And I am excited to know each and every one of you, and I hope to get to know you better.
Thank you, Kat. Beautiful words. I'm going to turn now to Angela Hill and just ask if do you have questions for us, but also can you share with us what the process looks like in your office? Suddenly we hear this thing on Twitter and it's like, whoa, what's happening? And it was pretty exciting, but I think there's a little bit of concern perhaps about how much of what we all shared here with you is known on Capitol Hill. Maybe you could share with us some thoughts.
Yeah, well, thank you again for inviting me and sharing your backgrounds and your stories and letting me listen. I am in a listening stage right now. There's nothing really put to paper. So that's sort of the stage we're in. And to be abundantly clear, there is no plan to create a regulatory framework like Prop 64. This is not what Senator Wiener is planning to do. If anyone's familiar with my boss, I can share he's really invested in working in mental health, ending war on drug policies, mass incarceration, and trying to provide people who are in most need with access to good, safe treatment. So it's both his interest in ending kind of the war on drug policies, plus his interest in the therapeutic promises of what he refers to as psychedelics. I know that that's not really a term shared by everyone, but that said, there's a lot of education to be done, not only in the Capitol, but with our office and with, I'm sure, a lot of people across California. So I hope this is the first conversation out of many. I see some people are saying they have to jump off. I have to unfortunately leave as well here pretty shortly, but I do want to share my email in the chat if that's all right for anyone that wants to reach out to me directly. Timeline wise, I can say that the state legislature will allow members to introduce bills starting December 7th. And then in January, we actually return in full force as a legislature. So we imagine that hopefully by February, we have a better idea of what the community really wants beyond decriminalization. Politically, we can't do everything. If this is going to be a first step approach, and again, I really appreciate everyone sharing their perspective and their culture, their histories, and letting me listen. So thank you again, Carlos, for reaching out to our office and having me here tonight.
Thank you. And we do plan on sharing this with you. If you feel compelled to share it with your boss, please feel free. And we hope to speak more with your office in the future. Thank you. And I want to thank everybody who came on. And for those of you who are new to our group, this is what it is. It's people healing. We've been doing it for generations, and we've been doing it underground, and it's very safe and it's very successful. And you've heard it here. It's honor. It's work of honor. So and it opens us up, and it's made me a better person as well. So thank you all for joining us. I look forward to connecting with all of you in the near future.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.